And so, welcome back, and part 26. So, let's carry on, with this idea of, what happened afterwards or didn't happen afterwards, etc. Because I did touch on this briefly before, where people can try to twist and manipulate certain things to fit. And we will find people saying that, everyone who's lived there since said that nothing happened to them. Now, apart from the Cromarty family, no one said anything. So that's an example of words being twisted. So these people saying nothing is not the same as coming forward and saying nothing happened to us. It's not the same thing at all. And I do feel that we have to question, kind of, well, what if something did happen, but they're too scared to say anything? That they're too embarrassed, too ashamed, or too much in fear of the potential controversy, public attention, the whole media circus starting all over again. Maybe even, people are being, kind of made to sign contracts before living in that house to say that they will not talk about anything publicly, that they will not welcome any kind of media attention at all. So some would, say that this kind of talk is clutching at straws, trying to make something out of nothing. And yeah, okay, in some ways maybe it could be. Yeah, maybe it is. Who knows? We don't know. I don't know. But then we don't know that it isn't. Yeah, you see what I mean? There's always two sides to everything. Now, one thing that was quite publicised, I'm not going to go into all the details because it's something that you can easily look up, and it's something that I don't need to explain to you in any great detail. Was a estate agent. Well, we say estate agent in the UK, and in the US, they'd say real estate agent or realtor. Yeah, 2010 was said to have gone into that house for well, some kind of business transaction, to be looking around, some kind of procedures to follow, and had a very frightening experience in the basement, and felt, the need to exit the house as quickly as possible. So there's another example of someone claiming that, they did have a frightening experience there of some kind, and it would appear on the surface that it was someone going in there who didn't expect that, who didn't, kind of, think that that was, going to be part of their normal working day. But then of course, we do get those who'll argue, well, come on, they made it up, or come on, it was their imagination. They're going into the famous Amityville house, and their imagination took over, and they just thought that there was something scary going on. Many ways to look at it, but it's still something that came out of the woodwork, sort of some years later, to say that, what, I had a weird experience. And apparently as well, this realtor, estate agent, yeah, took some time before actually going public with this. Didn't just walk out and say, right, I'm going to go and make this, public information. It was a case of going away and really, really kind of digesting the experience and really getting his head around it before actually speaking up. Which, as I say, it apparently did take some time, for this to happen. And like we're saying, about that Mrs. Cromarty saying about coffee on the floor. I mean, someone was apparently questioning, where's this bad smell coming from? And she tried to just cover it up. I mean, it begs the question, how many things have been covered up, or written off or brushed under the carpet, yeah. But we just never really know, and some people are just taking, what's not said as confirmation of something, when it's really, really not. It's not at all. And this is why I always say to us, there are other avenues to explore. We can't just say, this was this and that was that because someone said so. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. Yeah. So, I mean, where I'd like to go from here is to talk about a very significant person who has been involved with this case, from very, very early on. I'm very privileged to be in contact with this person. It's the very lovely Laura Didio, who was a very young reporter at the time, who befriended the Lutz family, was very kind to them, and took a special interest in them. And she's the one who actually introduced them to the Warrens, Mrs. Ed and Lorraine Warren, feeling that they were really in need of some help. What I'm going to do here is I'm not going to go into lots and lots of detail about Laura, because it's not my place to speak for her. What I'm going to say to you is that if we look up, her findings and, her information, her work over the years, it's very, very interesting. And I always say that, Laura oozes intelligence and integrity. She will deliver information in a way that is very, very fair. And she always puts it across in a way that, is leaving it to your own judgment. It's kind of saying, well, this is what I'm saying, but it's up to you what you make of it. It's up to you what you believe and don't believe. And so, in that respect, you can't get any fairer than that. You really, really can't. And I've always found as well that when it comes to Laura, she is a very respected figure in the Amityville history. There are so many other figures who do seem to get attacked and slated and, sort of really trashed. But I've never actually known anyone to badmouth Laura. I've never known anyone to argue with anything that she said, or try to bring her down in any way. And this is why I consider her to be one of, if not the best person to be listening to when it comes to this subject. So to give you a little bit more information now, I will say that the forthcoming podcast that I mentioned quite some time ago now, it is featuring Laura, who we're very, very privileged and grateful for her joining us. She was very happy to do so, and we're very, very thankful to her for that. Yeah, so these kind of what I'm saying about Laura herself and her experiences and her knowledge, and that you can look it up very easily. As I say, you don't need me to go through it all now. I don't want to speak for her anyway, because I don't want to risk getting something wrong, getting a few details mixed up here and there. I'd much rather you heard it from the lady herself, via her own work. There's numerous things online. There are plenty YouTube videos that you can look up. She was part of, a very significant part of, a documentary featuring Daniel Lutz himself as a grown man, called My Amityville Horror. So we're talking someone who started at a very young age and has more or less, been a big part of this ever since. And I'd say, one of, very few people still around now, from the time itself, who can, really offer some legitimate and, kind of plausible offerings to the whole thing. Yeah. So as I say, let's look her up. Let's look at Laura, because she just seems to be the go-to person as far as I'm concerned. And like I say, when no one ever seems to argue with her, no one ever seems to say, oh, this woman's another lunatic who's ranting and kind of talking nonsense. I feel it speaks volumes that no one ever seems to say those kind of things. So that's Laura Didio, young news reporter at the time. It's not a whole career. She's got a very interesting career of her own, but she's a significant part of this whole concept. Yeah, so let's just give that some time and thought and a little exploration. Yeah, so thank you. I'll be back soon as ever, and many blessings.